Hello, 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 and welcome to Survivor Debrief. My name is Eden Porter, the unlucky loser from Titans vs Rebels, and with me as always is my comedic partner and real-life brother, Josh Porter. Josh, hello.
Hello, good to be here. I'm not the only one, though.
No, you are not, because we are blessed. We are blessed with the original brain. We love that he's been able to pop by the Survivor Debrief. That's, of course, I'm talking about Phil Ferguson. Phil, thank you so much for joining us today, my friend. How are you going?
You know, good. I thought you were going to say the original loser. And I was
No,
like, yeah. I actually.
Never.
Yes, the original loser's here.
No, well, we wanted a guest. We wanted to do some guests this season, and we thought we want to try and tap into the original Brains versus Brawn to see if you had any brain insights there. Thank you so much for joining us. I just want to just start off. What are your feelings on this season so far?
Well, obviously not as good as your guys' season. It's very chaotic.
Yes.
I literally just spoke with my podcasting buddy Annabelle earlier, and she likened it to US Traders, which is the one that's predominantly reality TV stars.
Yep.
And we found that this season is definitely very much everyone has main character energy.
Yes.
And everybody's the heroes of their own narratives. And when you have multiples of them, like every season has maybe 5 or 6 of them. This has maybe 12 of them, 13 of them, 14 of them. So we've had a pretty chaotic ride to get to this point. But I think it's going to settle quite a bit now that we've hit the merge and we've got rid of we trimmed a bit of the
because I don't think I've ever seen such fluid elite alliances before. Like, it seems like nothing's been rock solid at all.
Yeah, would you call it vote? It's sort of like voting blocks, Josh.
It is the voting blocks.
But I think it's really interesting when people complain about, oh, you're ruining my game. It's like everyone is seeing things through their version of the game, and they're sort of having trouble putting themselves in other people's point of view. Like, they will vote for someone and then be annoyed when they do something against them. They're like, why are you doing this? This is ruining my game.
Yeah, Zara will. Yeah.
True. Phil, just being cast on the brain trap, just before we get into the episodes.
Yeah.
Do you think that this notion of a brain and a brawn, do you think that starts to permeate in how you approach the game out there when you're put in the brains tribe or you're put in the brawn tribe? Do you feel like, oh, I've got to play a certain way? I've got to be like, what was that like for you?
Yeah. Fully, because basically, like, at least when I was cast, we got told what we were basically right off the bat when you get your call to say,
wow,
you're on.
Yep.
So basically, you're already sort of pre-established, and then you already know as well. It's like you film all your pre-packaged stuff and you get to answer all these questions. So yeah, basically, I already had that in my mind. I think also the thing is that it makes you expect more of everybody else as well. So obviously, you have in your mind you've been cast for a certain reason, and this is why you're there. But it also, you sort of expect everybody else to be thinking in that way. I think that's why when the Brawn tribes, in no matter what version, US or Australia, whenever they're together, they just bond over being physical. But the Brain tribes, it's all about up here. So basically, they're a little bit more thinking with ego or strategy or whatever, which does create a different dynamic.
Yeah, no, I love it. Let's get into the episode now. So obviously episode 13, and this is Merge. This is Merge, baby, Merge.
Straight off the bat.
Love it. We went straight into this. And just coming into Merge, obviously tribe dynamics is thrown around that term a lot. And we come into the Merge with 7 brains and 6 brawn, which when I looked at the numbers, that really surprised me because I just always assumed that brawn, they didn't go to tribal council much, they weren't doing a lot, and then it was suddenly like, oh no, brains has the advantage. I don't know, is that something that you guys sort of realized as well?
Yeah. Because I was thinking, I was trying to, last night when I was going to bed, which is a very weird bed thought, but I was trying to remember all 6 guys who were on brawn, and I could only name 5. And then I think the one I didn't get was Zen, because obviously he got medevaced. Yeah. But, they lost a lot of people due to extenuating circumstances. And so I think in our mind, there wasn't as many vote outs.
Yeah, that's true, actually, because Ben obviously left, and then Zen, and then even PD was half a man by the end of it.
Yeah.
But it did feel that way because I remember thinking, oh, we've seen so much of this Brains tribe. We've got so much info on them. Who the hell knows half of these Brawn people? There must be stacks of them there because we haven't seen anything. They haven't had a story. And then, to hear that was the split, I was like, I guess they kind of just did get picked off in the tribe swap, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Some sort of hostage situation.
Yeah, exactly.
They started killing the hostages. Wait, that's not how this works. Keep them their bargaining chips.
So merge, one thing I have to get really annoyed at, no merge feast, no proper merge feast. I know they did the winner of the challenge got to take a bunch of people, but no merge feast. Phil, as a Survivor fan, this is sacrilegious, isn't it?
I was thinking about that because they sort of just saunter up, don't they?
Yeah.
They just sort of, and then the other people walk off. And then that's sort of it.
Yeah.
They do a challenge. They made to do a challenge where they hang upside down and then they get to celebrate by not doing anything. Like very, not a non-event for them.
A non-event. Yeah, it did feel like a non-event. And I was annoyed. My season, we also didn't have a merge feast because we did that. You could either decide to go look for an idol or have like a reward. And me being the fan, I was like, haha, look at these idiots. We're going to merge soon and we're going to get a big old merge feast. And these guys are having their little snacks now. And I'll go look for an idol and then I'll come back and eventually get the merge feast. Little did I know, that was the merge feast. They didn't tell us. Production didn't say, this is the merge feast. Either take it now or go for an idol. Because,
How did they frame it?
They just said you can have a reward now. There's a reward waiting for you, or you can go and look for an idol. And you had to put your rock out. And I was like, oh great, I'll just go look for an idol then, and then I'll have my merge feast soon. That's when being a fan, you sometimes outthink the show, I think.
Yeah.
Shattered. What else happened? What were some of the other moments that happened from this episode?
We kind of just went straight. Well, we went straight into the challenge, which was the rope. I mean, hanging upside down on the rope, which was a weird. Also, the way they were all joined as one big rope. So when people got off, it was a bit of like this tense moment. I didn't think that kind of worked. It was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it?
I don't know if that was by design or the fact that they just had this really long bit of rope and they're like, don't cut it, don't cut it, don't cut it. We need to keep it for another challenge later.
For tug of war, they're like, we can use that rope for tug of war.
Yeah, literally.
And then you just sort of hang upside down. I don't know. It wasn't my favourite merge challenge, was it?
I also find it really weird when they do the endurance challenges as rewards.
Yeah.
Because I feel like maybe I'm just imagining it, but I feel like at one point in time, the endurance challenges were more the immunity challenges.
Yeah, who wants it? Who needs it? Who needs to stay there? Yeah.
It's not who wants to eat. Like, they all want to eat. They don't need to hold out for that.
What did you make? What did you make of the deal striking? To be like, we'll drop off if you take us. What do you make of that, Phil?
It's like pretty. I always find it really interesting. The more and more as seasons go on, how much more they sort of show all the side stuff that happens when people get down. I feel like at one point in time that never existed.
Yeah,
now everyone's witnessed it. Because I guess that's the thing. When you're out there, you're fully witness to everything that's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not necessarily a deal maker in those sense. I think I would be let's play it out, guys. Let's see who can do it. Let's see who can do it. I'm not a big deal maker in that sense.
And in terms of this, as you've just hit the merge, you've got to pick your Kate. You've got to pick some people to come with you to connect with on this reward. Do you think that's a good reward to win or a bad one? What do you reckon, Eden?
Yeah, I reckon it's a good one to win. I reckon the fact that you can pull that many people across. Sometimes it's not. You don't want to be the one picking and leaving people. But I think she got sort of roped into choosing Logan and Zara. But Logan, Zara, Morgan, Paulie, AJ, and Kristen, like it was an interesting group to try and pull everyone together. And I think at merge, you want to get away, have a chat, get a full belly. I found around that time, not eating, my brain did slow down. And it did take me a while to think through things. And so having a bit of food at the merge, getting your brain working again is probably a really good thing to happen for you just physically. So I think it is definitely worth winning that one at this point in the game. How
about AJ's chats with Kate as well?
That
worked out well, didn't it?
Okay, let's just talk about AJ's conversations with Kate as a whole, because it happens a few times over all these episodes. So what have we got? I've written a bunch of them down. you've got like an amazing life. And then he's got, hey, you have such beautiful eyes. You've got such beautiful eyes. And then the classic one, and this works. I've used this a lot, this one. You're at the bar and you just go, wow, you are a brilliant runner.
But it worked. He got invited. He got invited to the cocktail party.
He did. It worked. That's what's crazy. Like, no offense to him, but it all worked. Kate ate it up. It's to us, it seems really, oh, what is he doing? This is just laying it on too thick, and oh, you're such a good Survivor player. But it's obviously worked because talking later on when they go, we're gonna get AG. She's like, no, I like AG. I think he's cool. So it's worked. I don't know. It was a bit funny.
I think it's probably that interwoven with normal conversations, and they're just the weird highlight ones that we see. I don't think it's compliments back to back to back. I think he's got a little bit more nous than that.
Yeah, beautiful eyes while you're talking. It's so beautiful. Oh, wait, stop, hold that thought. But your eyes. That's
You just run so well, man. It's ridiculous. But then we also get a really funny moment in this episode with Paulie having that montage talking to Jesse, and it was like a time-lapse montage.
The resilience speech.
Yeah, and Jesse was just sort of nodding, and then it was sort of faded in and out. And I do think this season is having a bit more fun with the edit. Do you think that, Phil, as well, with some of the things they've done?
Yeah, even the music cues.
Yes.
Like the carnival music when Miles was doing the soccer challenge every time he got it in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. Or like Kent's weird psycho montage, and all that sort of stuff. It's really interesting because I feel like Survivor usually just sticks with the sort of tribal sort of theming for everything. So all this extra sort of real reality TV
sort of coming across. Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is a show.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really good. The other challenge we had was the ball balancing with your legs balancing as well for immunity. Thing. That was the seesaw thing. And usually you have the bow, the sort of ball bow.
Because you did that one, didn't you, Ed?
Yeah, I did that one, and I was bloody good at it as well. But I just couldn't go. My feet were too big. It got what you were standing on got smaller and smaller, and by the end, I just didn't have enough. My feet were just too big for it. But this one, they've added the balancing thing, and I think it's because a lot of people practice that one at home. A lot of people have made the ball thing. I like to sort of add it in, and ironically, the skateboarder. Everyone was saying, Jesse, oh, it's made for skateboarders. It's so good. But Logan takes out the win. Aren't you surprised? It was fine. No, Logan's pretty good. She said Pilates. She said it was all about Pilates.
Yeah, balance. Well, yeah, to be honest, I thought Jesse was just going to win it because it's so obvious. And maybe that's why they designed it like that.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe production just loved Jesse and was just trying to line everything up.
Imagine that. They designed this whole season around Jesse.
This is
and this is what
just
happened.
waiting. This is a challenge where you have to do a kickflip on a piece of wood.
You can. I didn't know he was an expert at holding the rope upside down.
Then you're going to do a board slide down the water slide.
Yeah.
I feel that.
This is called grinding, and
Yes.
Survivors must grind their way down the hill.
So we're in the scramble. So this is basically it's coming out that Jesse and Paulie on one side of the scramble, and everyone else is slowly getting on the other. And I feel like Kate is driving this. It's a bit of a coming out episode for Kate. Phil, what are your thoughts on Kate's driving this?
Well, yeah, because she's finally getting to do what got derailed at that one other tribal council, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
She's finally taking back her power at the merge. But it's just sort of funny because I guess like you would always think the merge boot, because that was you as well, right?
No, I was actually 3 episodes into merge.
Oh my god!
I know.
But you're before Eileen.
Yeah, I was before Eileen, but I still didn't make the jury. 3 episodes because Scotty quit on our merge episode, which sort of wasn't. It ended up not being a real merge boot because like no one got to vote, but we got
Yeah.
to have like we went to tribal council, so it wasn't a sort of a technical quit or whatever. Well, it was, but we didn't have to then vote someone out. And then it was winner. Winner went next, and we voted him out, and then I went after that. So it's a tough one. And I think you're right, Phil. I think what you were saying about Kate having to finish the job, because if that gets out into the world, I think it's no good for her. What were you going to say, Phil?
Oh no, because I was just gonna say it's just like such a weird like first merge thing, but then you guys had a weird one as well.
Yeah.
So then scrap what I was gonna say.
Do you remember what who your merge boot was on your season?
I think it was Kez.
Oh, it was Kez. Oh yeah, I think you're right.
Because then she did pass the idol.
But did that.
And then Baden was our merge boot as a jury first member.
First jury. Yeah, that's right. What else in the scramble? Paul.
The interesting thing I found was at the scramble, Jesse kind of coming in and dictating and really driving it and going around to everyone like, it's going to be simple, it's going to be straightforward. What's everyone worried about? And it sort of reeked to me of this is someone who hasn't kind of had to do that many votes. Like he hasn't had to get the numbers together, make a plan, come off. It was like, it's easy. You just kind of have one little quick chat with everyone and everyone agrees and you're done. Like that's kind of what it felt like Jesse was doing. What do you reckon, Phil?
Yeah, no, fully. Oh, fully. But also somebody who hasn't, like, I'm sure he's watched some sort of Survivor, but it's like, I feel like any sort of plan that deviates from the obvious means that you're trying to rein in or take some sort of power to direct the game towards wherever you want to go, make it go. And if he's just going for the obvious votes, then I don't think he had any idea what his future plans were, because at this point, like, who was even on his side? That was the funny thing about it all as well. Nobody was really with him.
No,
exactly. He didn't have, and then it was just Paulie, because poor Paulie. One moment with Paulie that really stood out to me, which I felt really bad for, was that they get to merge, and Laura is sort of feeling Paulie's vibe. I think she's like, this Paulie guy, he seems pretty cool. He seems pretty nice. And then she goes to Karen and says, hey, Paulie, what's his go? And Karen immediately says, he's a snake oil salesman and he's not to be trusted. And I'm like, wow. That just painted, like, he couldn't get away from that, and he still can't. It's just in everyone's brains.
Yeah, because what I found really interesting was, like, Paulie worked so hard to be like, if I can just stay alive, make it to the merge, I'll do whatever I can, whatever I need to do, vote out my closest ally in the game just to get through. And it seems like it has not paid off at all. Like, you think that when you make that sacrifice, you go, I'm jumping ship, I'm with you guys. You might curry some favor with them, or you might reconnect with your old people, but it's just completely did not happen for Paulie. And you could see how excited he was to get to merge. And then after the end of this vote, just like a complete 180, just like devastated that I thought I had people and I've got absolutely nothing.
And Paulie took a giant torch, Laura's torch to the face in slow-mo. So Laura went down on a rocks, fell backwards, and smashed him in the head. It was pretty brutal. It was pretty brutal.
Very brutal.
And then we get to the vote. Yeah, then we get to the vote. And it's pretty... The boys... Like, somehow they're on the Zara train, Paulie and Jess. They're like, yep, no one likes Zara. Let's get rid of her. Let's break it up. And then everyone else is just... Yeah.
The couple of interesting things I found was... I quite enjoyed Logan, the classic line of, this isn't Friend Island. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to make friends. The classic line. And then also her comment about it's about vengeance. And it was for getting rid of Max, which was surprising to me. I don't know if that was just a line she threw out there or she actually gave a shit about Max. What do you reckon, Phil? Like, it didn't seem that they seemed that close. I don't know.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
I feel like that was like she did her IVs beforehand, and they asked her what is this vote about? Is it about Max? And then she was like, "Oh, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. This is revenge."
Well, the other thing is, Jessie was the only one that didn't want to get Max out. Ironically, Jessie was the one going, "Hey guys, can we change the vote?" And then he gets done for it. I was like, oh man, that was reminiscent of Jane voted for me, thinking that I was sort of really driving the winner vote. And where it was actually like Ferris and Ray that were like, yep, let's get rid of winner. And it's funny how that communication just breaks down and then people go, oh yeah, I'm pinning this on you. And it comes back to haunt you.
And they're mine.
Let's get on to the next episode. I think that anything else on that one?
Yeah, just I want to say about Jesse, like it really felt like he didn't ever get his foot in the door to properly start playing Survivor. It felt like they had this weird run where they kind of went through, they lost some people, they didn't really have to vote out any contentious things and draw any lines, to the point where I don't think the alliances felt that solid because they never had to work together really. So it felt like Jesse kind of never got started.
Yeah. I think once Ben left, he lost all ability to sort of corral people together. I think it was all downhill ever since the formation of the Mega Alliance.
But hey guys, I thought everyone was in my alliance. Why are you voting for me?
I thought
all
we
of
were in
us.
the Mega Alliance. Exactly. It's ridiculous.
With the whole
Angels.
Pelosi tribe.
Yeah, I know, ridiculous. So episode 14, sorry. We're up to episode 14 now. What stood out to you from this one, Jay?
Well, we started with a very crestfallen Paulie, the saddest man in the universe, coming back realizing I've got absolutely nothing here. And it just seems like he really shut down at this point. He's like, I presumably the way he was playing, he would have tried, but we just didn't see. But I just feel he was just like, man, I'm so far off base here. I really thought everyone was with me, and I've got nothing. And it just seems like from this point, he was like, I'm just going to offer myself as a number, and it's up to them if they want to work with me or not.
Yeah, Phil, just looking at Paulie as his entire game, what sort of went wrong? Why has he found himself with literally no friends? And look, we know what happens eventually, and he does get a friend. But why did he get himself in this position? Was it? Yeah.
It's like somebody had to explain this to me because I was like, I don't understand. They're so mean. They're so mean to him. They're like, he sucks. We don't like him. He has no friends. We're all buddied up, supposedly, even though Kaylin doesn't have a buddy, but for some reason, he's immune from this buddy system talk. But I think it's basically that he turned on Noonan for what? You know, he didn't like play his idol for her, he didn't do all this. But it's like, because, okay, I guess we now know in retrospect, these guys are hardcore on the buddies.
Yes.
Stick it out for your buddy.
Yeah.
And he roasted his buddy.
He roasted his buddy. Yeah, he roasted Noonan. It's true. It's true.
But then he says Miles or whoever's going to be his new Rose anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, this guy's got...
He's a real Billy Zane.
Yeah.
That's who Paulie is right now.
It's really good, yeah. So, poor Paulie. Like, I don't know. I actually really like him. I think I actually don't think he did too much wrong. I think he got screwed in the swap. And yeah, he just had to do what he had to survive. And I think, look, let's give credit to AJ and a couple of these other guys. They managed to really paint Paulie as this quote unquote, this SOS, this snake oil salesman. And he just can't shake it. He can't shake it. I thought he was a new opportunity come merge, but he hasn't been able to get away from it. It's so hard to change people's interpretations of you in the game when they come out there. And that was from, I think that stemmed from when Pauline Newman sort of had a go at AJ and gave him the receipts about throwing him under the bus for the Logan vote, saying, well, you came to us there, you did this, then you did this. And they really sort of held his feet to the fire. And then I think from that point, they were like, nah, Paulie's a snake oil salesman. He'll just say whatever he wants. Rah, rah, rah.
The other interesting thing I wanted to touch on quickly was we sort of haven't had a lot of focus on Kalen, but he keeps popping up. And one interesting thing, he clearly has a really strong relationship with AJ because he came to AJ and said, Logan's got an idol. He fed that information to AJ. Yeah. AJ feeds it to Miles. And it's this little relationship that we haven't seen a lot of Kalen. And I don't think people fully understand where he sits. What do you make of Kalen at the moment, Phil?
Every week I keep saying Kalen's my winner pick, but I don't know why. but it's funny because, okay, I just talked about this, but basically I live in the past, it seems, and I still remember Kalen's first intro package and his first sort of confessionals that saying his initial strategy is to play dumb and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what happened, but it seems that he's only been edited to be that guy. And we're getting shown nothing else.
Yeah.
And so my brain isn't processed. I'm like, okay, surely there's more game going on. But then all we ever see are like little mentions of coconuts and fishing.
Yeah.
All this sort of thing. And then you'll see like these little bits of like, you know, him telling AJ all this stuff, or he was with the girls when they found the idol, or when they did that weird round circle thing and he corrected them.
Oh, that was, that Paulie goes, no, it's 4. You said 4 on Paulie. Paulie's there going, no.
Yeah. So I'm really confused on... I want Kaylin to win, it seems, but I don't actually know why. I'm just committing to what I've decided.
Yeah. And the other strange thing, like obviously I think the graduates have a deeper seated connection then is really shown. And we come back to we try and rebuild the graduates. But it's from that point, it does seem like Kalen has this connection with AJ and Miles, where he does feel like he can tell them whatever he wants. And this concept of the graduates that no one really knows about is holding them in really good stead, because he's finding out a lot of information and being able to filter it out to everyone.
Yeah.
It's good.
Should we get to the immunity challenge, which was the back shoulder bar pull thing? I don't think I've ever heard this word or seen this item used in Survivor, but it was all about the spool. We got to stop the spool from falling off. I don't think I've ever seen a spool on Survivor before. It was very. I was like, a ball, just a ball.
There's a lot of balls.
Like...
We did a similar one to that. It was balls, but yeah, hasn't been a lot of spools. Which is an interesting choice. Now, this challenge, Phil, how would you have done on the old spool holder? You smashed the gym. You'd be pretty good at that.
Yeah, like I can do a chin up, but this is holding the chin chin up for as long as you can, and a spool.
I think the tough thing with this one evidently was you couldn't tell when you were losing it, because you couldn't see it.
Well,
and we lost Paul in a few others that way.
That's why it's the spool. That's that's the ability of the spool to sneak up on you and the rolling of it, because you sense everything else.
Actually, true. If it was a ball on a track, you could see the ball going up and down, but it's a spool. It's a spool.
It's a spool.
It's a spool. You can't see it.
Expect to see more spools, because they're going to reuse. I feel like they're going to reuse. They're reusing the rope from the last challenge. They'll reuse the spool in this one.
Yeah.
Survivors must grind their spool down. Jesse will be good at this.
And that was our only challenge, wasn't it? And Kaylin won it. Kaylin won it.
One of the big things I find interesting at challenges like this is when people feel really safe, they're so jovial and happy, and there were so many people felt really happy and comfortable, and you can kind of tell this at a challenge when there's not a lot of stress, there's not a lot of angst. It's like, oh no, I'm out. Let's all have some fun. It's really telling of who's feeling comfortable.
Yes, 100%. Same with those challenges where you go, oh, if you sit out, you can have some food, and people are just like, oh yeah, cool, sit out, and it's sort of replaced the pecking order. They don't do the pecking order challenge anymore, which I used to love. And you have to eliminate someone with chop their rope, and you can see where they are in the pecking order, and then it's more gives people a better understanding of where they're at.
One quick question I had for you, Eden, on these early sort of immunity challenges, particularly for Kaylin. If you're safe as a potential challenge beast like Kaylin, is it in your interest to not win when you're feeling comfortable?
This is a really good question, Josh. I honestly think that if you are feeling, obviously the first one at Merge, you need protection because no one knows what's happening at Merge. Once you can lean into that and you figure out where the votes lie, I don't think you want to go on a streak. Like, obviously we've seen that he wins these next two. I don't think you want to start doing that because people will go, well, as soon as you lose, the question's going to be out there, do we need to get rid of him because he's winning so much? And the same thing happened with Tyson in Token Sheens. Like, he won those first couple. Yeah. Everyone liked him. He was really funny, and then as soon as he didn't win one, they're like, we have to get rid of him. Doesn't matter how likable you are, doesn't matter how funny you are or how much you get on with everyone. It's just too much of a threat. So I think he may be peaking too soon in terms of his winning streak. You want to time that. Phil, do you concur?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I know, it happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when the field right now, he probably is, like, obviously there's quite a few athletic people.
Yeah.
But if anybody was to dominate and win multiple challenges, he's probably one of the few that could.
Yeah, they could, yeah. Yeah, I feel like he's got that good body type where he's not too bulky, and he's got some good balance, and he seems to I think he's going to do quite well on some of these on a lot of these challenges moving forward. Yeah. And then we're in so Kaylin's obviously immune, which doesn't affect anything, but then we're into the scramble, and now this I want to really drill down on because I find this really interesting what happens in the scramble. So first of all, everyone is pretty keen on just getting Paulie. And it's like, yep, that's cool. And then Laura has this idea. She goes, you know what? Let's actually break up one of these pairs. Let's actually flip it onto PD. She thinks she can get a few people on top of it. She goes to Miles. She goes to AJ. They are very keen on this. They're like, yeah, this is great. This breaks a few things up. It breaks the Brawns up. It breaks this two pair up. And then she hits a roadblock in the form of Logan. And Logan just says, no, we're not doing this. We're going to work with those two moving forward. No, this is burning stuff. Take it back. And then Laura, this half measure, then has to go around and undo everything she's sort of put together. And Logan and Miles and AJ, I don't think they're loving this fact that it was put out in the world. Then they would talk to the girls, like obviously Kate and Morgan got involved. Then it's, oh no, this is not happening anymore. It just was very messy. And I think that this point actually had a lot to do with what ultimately sort of was Laura's downfall in the next episode. This backtracking in this half measure on this, because I do feel she almost started playing Logan's game. It was like, I don't want to annoy Logan. I don't want to upset her. I don't think she was going to lose Logan as an ally. I think it was just going to maybe be something that I had to deal with. But she started playing someone else's game. And sometimes you just got to listen to your gut out there. And I think this ultimately hurt her game a bit more, because we know what happens. It did end up happening. She didn't get any credit for it. And yeah, Miles obviously didn't like it.
Yeah, the big curiosity for me, Phil, is why wouldn't you first go to Logan if that's going to be the biggest issue? Why wouldn't you go to her first?
Like, seriously, everybody's just banging on about their buddies, and you didn't even ask your buddy first if you, as a duo, as a number of two, are going to then proceed with a plan of some variety, you know? I feel like that's one of the things that gets a bit lost sometimes, is that, you know, if you're in an alliance, and obviously this sort of thing kind of came up when AJ played the idol and Karen was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that you kept that part secret, but it's like, if you're enacting a plan and it's meant to be quote unquote in our best interests or whatever, well, maybe we should discuss it first and then we can workshop it, because everybody wants to feel included, whether or not it's the plan that works in their best interests or not. Because if they sign off on it, and this is Logan's issue the whole season. Basically, she keeps wanting this one plan to happen and everybody keeps shutting her down. So, of course, in this scenario, this is even a worse variation of it, because it's like, here's another rando plan and I've told all these other people before you. Now do it.
Yeah, exactly. And Logan responds so well to be put in a corner like that. Well, but I just want to say, with that though, if you... And this is what happens, like, this is ultimately probably why the Coven didn't work, because all four of those women are absolutely fantastic game players. They know the game, they understand the game, but they all feel like it's their way or the highway to some degree. We saw in the first couple of episodes, Zara felt, well, hang on, I just want to get rid of Rich. And Logan and Laura are stopping that from happening. I don't get my way. I'm being marginalised. And then this is just flipped to Logan going, well, I'm not getting my way. I'm being marginalised and I'm being shut out. And it is, and you sort of need a couple of people in an alliance of 4 or 5 that are just those go with the flow. Yep, what are we doing? Yep, cool, I'm on board. If you do get too many people going, I haven't had my say yet, I want to do this, that's when it can get difficult to let things ride. And ultimately, that's probably why the Coven didn't work.
Well, it seems to me, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Eden, that it doesn't seem like they're necessarily talking through as their pairs to be like, hey, what's our pathway through this? What works? It seems like they're all doing individual thinking and being like, well, I know what I want to do. I want to do this. Whereas I know you spoke to a lot, you talked through a lot of stuff with Mark, right? Of like, hey, what's the pathway here? You can call it talk through plans. It seems like they're thinking more individually. What do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. And it comes back to what Phil was saying before with this main character energy. Everyone is feeling like, well, this, and look, that is good to play your own game. But at this point in this merge where everyone is still trying to find their place, I think you need to, hey, what is our movement forward? What other group can we pull together? Do we want to separate these guys? Do we want to pull these guys in? And not enough people are doing that. Like even AJ, like Miles is obviously doing stuff that AJ's not aware of. And then, but AJ is doing it quite well where he's sort of giving it over to Miles. Miles, you're the king. Oh, Miles, this is so good. Because I think AJ realizes, if Miles is the one sticking his head up now and being the focus, then he will probably be my shield and he will be like someone that they go for before me. So I think AJ is actually playing the Miles situation quite well. What do you think, Phil?
Yes. Yeah, because I did notice in these 3 episodes that AJ took a massive step back. I think that everybody's doing a semi-decent job at sort of, if they've been out in front and something has happened, they've taken a step back, and AJ's probably done the best at that. And obviously he's probably perceived the opportunity to develop new relationships, hit the merge as a time to scale back make bonds with Kate Morgan and all that sort of thing.
Spit a few compliments out.
Yeah. The eyes. And
Watch them run.
Yeah, watch them run. Compliment their dancing.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you're right. Like basically, once Miles does this sort of big move, it basically propels Miles in the same position that made everybody mad at AJ.
Yep.
But it's something more recent.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
also
and
affects everyone, as opposed to AJ's theatrics affected everybody when he would talk on the mat, but all the stuff that happened on that Brawn 2.0.
It is so amazing, Phil, how it's like recency bias. Like the last thing that happened is what's in your head, and you're not thinking about things that happened 15 days ago. It's just not on the radar anymore. You can make like AJ was lucky that he didn't go home in that period because everyone was gunning for him, but he's made it through there, and now he's being able to rebuild a few things. But let's just talk through the actual tribal council, and Miles uses his advantage. Now, Laura actually knew about this advantage as well. So she was fully aware, but she didn't, she saw him grab it in the shelter and she was like, oh, she was looking for it as well. And she saw it. He grabbed it. They knew it was there. She didn't know he was going to use it now though. And so that was a completely blindsided people. Now, to me, I'll be interested in your thoughts on this. To me, and this is headcanon, this did feel like, hey, let's get rid of PD before we get to the jury because he's injured. Like it did seem like that makes sense. Like you don't want someone with one arm on the jury.
I've never seen challenges where they've got like 4 in a row. PD sitting this one out. PD sitting this one out.
Yeah.
PD sitting. I've never seen that before. It was really weird.
It's I look. I guess from one, just if you're gonna pull back the curtain for a second, but I just don't think you want. Yeah, you don't want someone sitting out, but they also don't want to do a medivac because. You don't. We've already had one. We've had someone quit. I don't know. It's not great. So I think that it was like, you know what? Let's just get rid of the injured guy. And Miles just took it upon himself to do it. Miles is just like, I'm just going to do this.
It struck me a little bit that he was a bit annoyed that the PD plan fell apart from Laura. That he's like, I want to do some stuff. I want to play. I've got all these things to use. I've got these tools. I'm just going to do it. And it seemed like he was like, screw, I actually don't need anyone else. I can actually do it myself with the things that I have right now.
Yeah, I think the other thing, Jay, is, and this will happen in the next episode as well. You play so differently when you've got a secret idol in your back pocket that no one knows about. Yeah. It frees you up ridiculously knowing that if the shit hits the fan, things go sideways, you've got to get out of jail free card that nobody knows about, that nobody's planning to flush, none of that stuff. It is just, okay, I've tried to do this thing. I'm feeling weird now. I'm going to use this. You see how Miles is approaching the game now. He's just doing stuff now. Oh, yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, I'll talk to this. Oh, I'm going to do this, whatever. Ha, ha, ha. But if you don't have that idol in your back pocket, I think that's a very different play style. And we've seen what Miles is like when he doesn't have an idol. He's nervous. He's talking to people. He's running around. He's doing all this stuff. Whereas he's got an idol in his back pocket, and I think his quote was, "We don't want to go into a paranoid death spiral, AJ." It's like you're very familiar with the paranoid death spiral, Byron. You're very good at it. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you guys? Is that something that you sort of think is impacting Miles's freed up gameplay?
Oh, fully.
Yeah.
Especially because that advantage relied on him to just take somebody else's and then use it. It wasn't quote unquote his idol, and there was some activation and all that. It wasn't like he had a secret, like he didn't have a hidden immunity idol in that context. But then he also has one
as well, so, in his back pocket.
So he's got the double security, but also the advantages in themselves. Just I feel like people perceive them very different to just idols.
Yes, I think so as well. And with all of these advantages and everything that he has, did you think that was the right move to target to get rid of PD in that point and not get rid of Logan's idol?
Just to reiterate, so he stole Kristen's idol, then played it onto Paulie to save Paulie.
Correct.
I don't understand, and ergo PD goes home, I don't understand how Logan has this hidden idol. I don't quite know why, if you're going to make a big move and blow something up that is completely covert and under the radar, why don't you take Logan's idol and then throw a couple of votes on Logan and Logan's done? I don't know. Like, it seemed like a big move for the sake of it without using it to its full effect. PD does not seem like an interesting enough target to play such a big move without taking out one of your staunchest opponents, which I think Logan probably would be, right?
Yeah, I think this was sort of reminiscent when you actually put it like that, Jay. It's actually reminiscent of the Ray advantage in my season, where he got everyone's votes together and he got off Valeria, which everyone wanted to do anyway. They could have just they honestly they could have just all voted for her and she would have gone home, and it was this sort of big theatrical thing, but it still sticks out in people's minds as a move. And it's not the most craziest thing. It's not ruffling the most feathers, but it is something that sort of happens. And yeah, I feel like when you say it like that, Jay, the one thing you're not taking into account though is Logan. You had to steal the idol before the votes.
Right.
So if yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So if you took it before, if you took Logan's idol before the vote, I think it's alarm bells. I think people are like, hang on, why is he stealing my idol? How did he know about my idol? I think there is the chance for a live tribal. The girls going, something's happening here with Miles and AJ, and I think it shifts the votes, and then suddenly you don't have control of that anymore. I'd be interested in your thoughts as well, Phil.
Yeah, no, but that's basically it, because I had to get played beforehand. If it was activated like any other normal idol, and that's probably what they like the people above probably would have wanted, is that like it would have created a live tribal. But by also throwing out public idols out there, it sort of nullifies the surprise of it all.
Yeah,
and also if you're going to do something public for somebody's public idol, it's better to just off it to get rid of somebody who also was like nothing to the overall thing. Yeah. But it does remind me of the Ray thing. Like it really reminded me of that so much. Just like so much theatrics for just like we loved Valeria going out and stuff, but you know, it was just like, oh, so much.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing was interesting as well, that Logan, it didn't seem like she thought to play her idol or felt concerned enough to be like, oh, hang on, well, this person's not going home. Maybe something's happened here. She was happy just to let the chips fall. I guess confident and comfortable that the extra votes are on PD, which is again also that classic thing of, oh, look, I don't care where the split is. Okay, the split's on me. Whatever. Literally say that. It's like, this is why you never want the split on you ever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and because PD, that was that conversation, wasn't he? Yeah. And
he was like, I don't care. It's okay if it's me. I don't care. We're just gonna dub on.
Yeah, because he's also screaming in pain because of his shoulder. He's like, guys, it's fine. It's fine. Poor PD. I got to meet PD the other night. He's honestly one of the most loveliest guys in the world. He was so genuine, so cool. And it only came out in his final words where he was like, oh, I'm a huge fan of this game and everything like that. That did not come through at all in the whole season, that he was a fan and that he was really excited to be there. And it's a shame when that doesn't sort of come through. We don't really see that side of him.
Yeah. I was so surprised that he was with us for his boot episode.
I know. He came to our watch party and I was like, dude, that's a big thing. Like, I was definitely at home with my family. I didn't want to watch that with anyone for my boot episode. So good on PD for getting out there. His biceps, is it bicep? Is his bicep? It's fully healed now. So he's looking good. He's back in the gym. Yeah, that's it. Should we move into the last episode? Nothing else on that one?
Just as a flow on, again, speaking to the idea of what is other people doing, Zara was sort of saying, what are these idiots doing now? Like, who are these idiots going to vote for? Like, it's just back to back all the time. When something isn't going the way they want, they just having the boot in. It's crazy.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the initial reaction to this move was fire and brimstone, salting the earth, like AJ went to, hey, and she's like, don't touch me tonight. Like, it was on. And I just don't understand how we went from that to, okay, yeah, cool, everyone, the votes are on Logan and Laura. I'm failing to figure out how they turn that around so quick. I know, Phil, have you got any insight?
No, I find it really hard to track their duos, and then who they were with previously, and then those histories, and then the original tribe histories, and then how that all comes together in this. It's to be honest, it's very confusing sometimes.
Because obviously it must be something to do. The graduates have this core group that can filter out information to other people. And like Miles has obviously got Paulie now. Paulie's like very much indebted to him. But it did sort of just spread, and it evaporated this. Oh, we hate. Oh, Miles. Miles really blew up everyone's games, and it was only the three. It was only Kristen, Laura, and Logan that were still banging the drum. Like, hey, we should get rid of one of these guys. And I just found that really interesting.
The interesting thing as well that happened was really quick. Paulie just gets forgotten to be like, well, he's not a threat anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Like that classic thing of you can maybe just get through one vote and then all of a sudden you're completely off people's radar. Oh, I'm useful now. Whereas it was like, it was like 2 or 3 votes in a row. It was like Paulie. And now they're like, we tried. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I think
Paulie's the new Miles, who's the new AJ.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. The other thing, just shout out to Paulie, last Brawn male standing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
hey, well done.
He outlived all the rest of the guys. Good on him. And he's ripped. Paulie is very he's looking good. He's smashing the gym as well. So I think he could. I don't know what I'm saying. He could,
was that in your notes? Or was that just on the top of your head?
Like, the funny thing about all that is like 2 of them got injured. One got mysteriously eliminated. One was Nash, and then I can't remember who the other person was. Like, it's stiff competition
it's so
for that position.
Because you do think, when you naturally think of a Brawn tribe, you think of these bigger, larger than life characters, but they've all really fallen by the wayside. It's so true. Yeah, it's outrageous. So Miles loops AJ in and actually tells him about his idol. What are we thinking about that? Because this was an idol nobody knew about. And I don't think he needed to tell AJ, but he decided to do it anyway. I don't know, Phil, is this a good move or not?
AJ's a vault. It's kept with him. But I think the thing is, I think in this duo, I think AJ will keep it a secret.
Yep.
But I feel like they've shown that they are buddies. And then that they will stick together through all of this. Even though Miles did do that advantage without really informing AJ. But
well,
I feel like this is proper.
Yeah, a lot of the conversations we saw between AJ and Miles are very much like AJ like, oh, this is sick. What a cool move. So exciting. This is awesome. And without being like that Karen attitude, which was like, why didn't you tell me? You should have told me what was going on. AJ's like, oh, that's so cool. We're going to keep working together. That's awesome. And it's a really interesting direct comparison there of one way blows up the alliance, the other way, I don't know, there just seems to be this implicit trust now between those two that I think Miles felt, well, we've done enough together and this is my pathway now. We've got Paulie in as well. That's something that we can work together on. And I guess it's because he's been at the bottom for so long. He's like, well, I need to have a solid core now, and I finally have enough momentum where Miles must feel he can kind of pull it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, completely agree, Jay. I think it's a really interesting breakdown, and I think AJ, again, props to AJ for placating Miles, making Miles feel good, and saying like, this was such a good move, man. This is the king of moves. Speaking of king, can we please find another word besides king? I'm so sick of king this, king that, king of the jungle, king of the rats, king of this. I'm like, guys, come on. Oh, God.
Well, also, it's a bit rude, like that there's at least one person who's even called the King of the Jungle when one person was originally called that. And then they just, like, the naming the same different people. It's like, guys.
The only thing I wanted to do, if someone started calling themselves, like, King of whatever in my season, which no one did, thank God, but I really wanted to do in my voting confessional about regicide. Which is like the killing of a king, because it's on a Simpsons episode. You have selected regicide. If you know the name of the king or queen being murdered, press 1. I wanted to say that in my confessional, for my voting confessional. It would have been really good.
Did you guys have a king?
No, we didn't have a king. We had this. We had like the smiling assassin, but we didn't actually have. But everyone's called that. Everyone's tried to call themselves that. In our season, there wasn't a lot of nicknames. There actually wasn't. Like it was like Kirby was just Kirby, Riri was Riri, like Ray was Ray. There wasn't that sort of. We didn't jump on that. We had the Middle Age Mafia, obviously, and the Cuddle Club, but I had a few more. I had Big Daddy Alliance. I had the Core 4. I had the Coast to Coast. I was naming a lot of lines.
One of these got to make the air.
One of them's got to make the air.
Yeah, your impact.
Yeah,
everybody picked up the slack this season.
Exactly. No, they did very well. Where are we?
Should we move on to the challenges?
Yeah. Actually, before we do that, I just wanted to touch on the graduates got together. Basically, this is like pre-scramble, and they said, let's work together. Everyone was on board except for Karen's probably the one that is a little bit still hesitant to fully commit to AJ and get in there. But it is such a good group that no one knows about. I think even with these little fractures in it, it's going to serve them really well, and it does in the future. But that was sort of the last point on that before we really get to the challenges. Oh, actually, can I just say one more thing? The way that Logan said to Miles, okay, we don't trust each other. I'm not working with you and you're not working with me. Little Survivor, you never say that to people. You never draw a line through someone in that game because you never know when you could come back. I think that was one of the things that probably started the momentum against. She
was fuming coming back from that vote, absolutely fuming. It seems like, you really need to catch yourself in those moments and be like,
yes,
let's just chill out, go to bed, wake up in the morning, start again. Because like you said, you could be working with anyone again.
Yeah. But yeah, Josh, you were saying, let's go to the challenges.
So the reward was that, like the tethered together in the waist-high water for the basketball thing, which was kind of a weird one because it was like normally that's like a physical wrestling one, but then it wasn't really. It was kind of like just who could wade through the water quicker. Like it was, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, you would have been good at it, Josh. You're good at netball. I could imagine you shooting. Right. And then Miles did the old knock their ball away, which is a classic. We did that a few times in our challenges. It's
very funny that Morgan was like throwing it back where it needed to go, and the Miles was like, "You should throw it this way, dude." Just so behind. It was like, damn, shit.
Yeah, it's true. But that of course that challenge was for the American Feast, and we've done the Aussie barbecue, and now we've got the American Feast. And I tell you right now, the American Feast looked a whole lot better than the tub of KFC they've had in previous seasons. No offense to we've just lost that KFC sponsorship, Josh. But the guys ultimately it's a fun challenge, but the tether aspect didn't really do anything, did it?
No, I don't think so. The interesting thing at the reward when they were all sitting around chatting was this it was just like a weird mix of people, and there was a bit of strat chat, and again, this whole season, I found these really open conversations. Like Miles talking quite openly about what's going on and who's doing. It seems like people aren't keeping stuff to themselves the way they normally would. They're talking to people who aren't in their close alliances to be like, well, yeah, you know the state of play. You know Logan's like this, and you know this is like, I want to go for this person. Like it's weird to say so in the open to someone, oh yeah, you know that I'm gunning for this person, don't you? What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like in some ways it's like stifling. Because basically there's no nuance. Basically it's either out in the open or it's blatantly a lie and completely different. So it's one or the other, which is probably why they're all so cagey. Because they all seem to be very outspoken. and then they all are just saying whatever, which does make it really hard to navigate.
I did have to laugh when they're like, Miles tries to shut down the strat chat though. He's like, no, this is a too big group to talk about this because everyone wants different things and we can't work together. Like, so who don't want you to win? Logan, I definitely don't want Logan to win.
Yeah. Like,
meanwhile, we've got Logan on the beach saying about all these chaotic and dumb moves. So again, it's just like everyone is just playing their own game. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And then the other challenge that we've got going is the classic Survivor challenge, the Last Gasp. Now, this is fantastic. I don't know, Phil, is this challenge you knew about going in? Like would you have liked to have done it? Do you think you would have done?
I don't know. Well, I guess, I don't know. Is my face narrow enough to fit through the gasp the longest? Like, and then you
just starve for 20 days.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Now,
exactly.
Now,
what are you doing? I'm training.
Yeah, I'm training for Last Gasp when they have it.
Especially my season when we're in the outback.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. That we're definitely going to have that tide come up.
Phil's waiting. It's coming, guys. See that water hole over there? They're going to like drop us in that.
Pump it up.
Get some big fans just to blow the water. Coming.
Yeah.
What's the strategy for this?
Yeah, I was going to say, Phil, are you a hold your breath guy or a snorkel? A snorkel guy?
I'd have to do this and then just like practice the breathing. But when they get to the point where it's really like, I feel like I would have stressed out. Unless, well, they were there for an hour, so you would have had enough time to...
An hour 15.
It is a
Zero.
funny challenge because you are at the whims of nature. So you have to
Yeah.
get there early enough to set it up to be like, we can't miss the moment. We have to be there early enough
Yeah.
to make sure that tide comes in.
Well, there
I
was a
reckon-
funny. I think was it in America recently in the season where they were so good at it. And the tide wasn't like a king tide, so it didn't come in a lot. And it went through, they survived it, and the tide started going back down. And so then they're just breathing normally. And it was like 3 hours later, they're like, okay, everybody wins. It was wild. They got through, they beat the challenge. Jeff is like, you guys beat the challenge.
That's great.
It's so crazy. I know. I think I could not do the hold your breath because not knowing when you could take your next breath. Like Karen was doing that. She did that. And then just tried to hold it. And then as soon as she felt air, she did it again. Oh, my God.
It was really impressive.
Freaks me out.
Karen was really impressive. And, like, again, Kaylin, I think I think you got to get a combo of both kind of thing. You've got to have that snorkel to give yourself the breathing room. But then, that's the hardest thing, right? You've got to know, is this a moment to take a breath or not? And you just don't know.
It's so full on. Yeah, I think I would panic eventually. I would go the snorkel, but I think I would eventually panic. But a classic Survivor, I think I would have really liked to have done that one as well.
We had Kaylin win in the end.
Nobody talking about Kaylin winning 2 back-to-back. Everyone's just like, oh, good on you, buddy. This is great.
Yeah.
Like it's
He's
giving
gone fishing.
Yeah. But it's giving me a vibe of maybe he wins, like he could keep winning and maybe his threat level is so low that they're like, well, that's fine if he gets through. He's not going to get any votes at the end because he's not seen as doing a lot. I don't. There is a world where he's a 0 vote finalist where everyone just goes, oh, yeah, but Karen did this and Zara did all this stuff and Kaylin was just sort of floating along.
The others played more. He just sort of coasted along.
Yeah, definitely could be. And so obviously he has the immunity, which doesn't impact anything at all again. But now we're into the scramble. So this is where it really starts to heat up, obviously. Phil, one thing I'd like to ask you about, Logan, she went around to try and rally up some troops. And what do you think of her approaching sort of Kate and Morgan? Because I don't think she respected them enough and put in enough groundwork to warrant getting their votes. What did you think about that relationship?
Yeah, no, again, because they were not on in the original tribes, were they? It's in the 2.0s. It was Laura and Zara. Right?
Laura and Zara. Yeah. Laura was the one. They were doing the Jessie vote. Yeah.
So then they I feel like the approach wasn't quite there.
No. Yeah. No.
Well,
not at
because
all.
it's almost like you needed Laura to do that, but Logan was so like, I need to impose my will on this. I've sat in the back seat for too long. I want to make stuff happen.
Yeah, and this weird thing that's recurring in this season. It's like everybody's reputations are like so intense. So like, unfortunately, Logan is known as Logan. Like she's known as Logan. Same with AJ. Same with everybody. And so I just feel like unfortunately she's playing along type. Like she's acting exactly what they expect. And unfortunately, I just don't think it's the right approach sometimes with people you're not too familiar with.
And I think that AJ really started doing this as well and filtering this out. But this concept that even during the swap, they're like, we cannot let Logan and Laura get back together. They are so powerful. They're going to dominate the game and stuff like that. And again, that's so many people were talking about that. And I mentioned it to Laura and she said, yeah, I was not aware that everyone was saying, oh, these guys are the pair. These are the two big pair that will never go against each other. And it's detrimental to your game. If you are talking to someone all the time, if everyone knows that you guys are super tight, it can blow your game up because you are seeing it. And I think that's to an extent happened to Mark in our season. Mark and the V's, they would just slept next to each other, went off together, talked together all the time. It was so obvious that they were unbreakable. And that like Valeria and Viola, they would say like, oh, if anyone votes for this other one, I will destroy the world to come at you. And so people were just like, these guys, they're no use to me. We're going to have to get rid of them. And that's what I feel like sort of happened here,
It's
Jay.
like we spoke about when we had the merge swap and stuff, where they're like, people going, oh, my bestie's over there. I've got to get back to my bestie. And like using this kind of open language. It's like, keep it under your hat. Like you can get on with someone, but like you don't have to be like, I'm desperate to get over there to them.
Josh, they can't keep it under their hat.
Like,
because Kent has burnt it.
Very good.
Very good.
So the big split we had in the scramble, we had the Miles plan, which was 5 on Logan, 4 on Laura, and then the Logan plan, which was 5 on AJ, 3 on Miles. And it seemed like it was a lot more spread than I thought it was. But then it very quickly seemed like, oh, maybe Logan and Laura are completely out of their depth here. Maybe it did feel kind of even, and it felt like that. But these voting blocks, it is really hard to tell what people's pathway is because it seems to change every episode. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, it's really, because I guess like the one thing about the Graduates as an alliance is that we know it's a block of 5.
Yeah.
And then within that, there's the sub-alliances. So we can at least see where their specific path to the end may look. But with all the other people, they're not forming large enough groups. So when we're witnessing all these discussions happen, it's great to see that, you know, Kate and Morgan are getting wrangled in and Kirsten's getting wrangled in, blah, blah, blah. But all of their individual plans are all whatever, because we saw the thing with Kirsten walking up and she starts talking about a different plan, and then they're like, what is she talking about? And all this sort of thing. And then Kate's like, oh no, I was just pretending, I didn't know. And
because then AJ walks up, then Kate realizes what's going on, has this panicked look at her face. Then Morgan just goes, I need to go, I have a coconut. And she just walks off. And it's just, everyone's just, it's just so funny, those moments where they have it like that. Then the other moment in the scramble is Karen is talking possibly about flipping. And she's like, this is the plan. But if me and Christian get with Laura and Logan and we do vote AJ, we could do that. Now, I think there was a couple of things that sort of maybe like foiled this plan a little bit. One was that she was designated to be on the Logan vote, whereas because Logan could use her idol, she actually needed to be on the Laura vote, so then she could change her vote, which would then take off votes from Laura and add them to AJ. So to do anything, she still would have needed Kirsten to get in on it as well, which she seemed pretty keen to get rid of AJ, but ultimately she didn't pull the trigger. Ultimately, she didn't pull the trigger. Should she have pulled the trigger? Like, what do you guys think of this breakdown and what ultimately happened? Should she have gone AJ in this point?
Well, it strikes me, it's kind of like what happened with the PD vote. It's like, if you're going to do this kind of move, and the move was telling Logan, play your idol tonight, like, get out someone you want to get out. Don't just go along with the plan and be like, oh, well, we got the idol out. It's like, you've got a chance to make something happen. Either like, it seemed really weird that, again, it's like making a move for the sake of making a move without necessarily being like, and then it's going to do this, this, and this is why it's going to be great for my game. It was such a weird moment in that tribal for her to tell Logan, hey, and it seemed like she made her mind up in the moment. Oh, actually, I want Logan to stay. It was just, I don't know. What do you make of it, Phil?
Yeah, it's funny because I think Karen tweeted out her like top 10 favorite survivors on the top, and she said it doesn't matter what happens, it's always Natalie Anderson.
Yeah, I thought that.
But it reminds you of that when she plays her idol and gets old mate out, Baylor.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to be making people play idols and all this sort of stuff, it has to be actually with intent, because, and this is one of the crazy things with everybody playing idols this season as well. It's like, everybody is just playing them for themselves. Obviously, we had the weird Paulie Steele one, but that obviously is a bit different.
Yeah.
But more often than not, everybody's just using them to save themselves, and nobody's using them as a potential mechanic to void vote, so your group can,
your plan can
prevail.
Yeah.
And so I just find that really interesting. But yeah, I didn't really. She spooked AJ. She got her wish from a few episodes ago.
She put the fear of God into him.
The other thing I found interesting was Miles' sort of attitude here to be like, I want to start playing, and that's why I did the big thing last week to really kick everyone up into gear. And it seems like it actually really worked. Like, it seemed like after that vote the previous time, everyone's like, oh, we got to like get rid of threats and do really interesting stuff. We can't just keep knocking off the low people now. So it seemed like it was a big shift, and I really do credit Miles for that, to be like, oh, there's stuff to be used and there's stuff to be done. Why are we just voting off the dead weight? Let's get the big dogs here. It was really interesting. I think that's pushed it.
It's so much easier to have that conversation when you have tools.
Yeah,
I never have a tool.
Yeah.
I never had an idol. I never had an advantage. I never had anything. So it is harder to make things happen when all you have the ability to is talk to people and say, hey, do you want to do this instead? Do you want to change this vote? Now let's not split here. But when you have those little things, and like Karen knew about Logan's Idol and was using that somehow in this sense. But it is a lot easier when you've got things to use and to change the game and to flip the game. And if you don't have those tools, then it does make it harder to make that move. No matter how much, if you want to like start playing or start stepping on people's toes, as it was, that, yeah, you just can't if you don't have those fun tools to do it from the minority or do it from a smaller position.
The other thing I found interesting was the way Laura was chatting to people, being like, hang on, who did you vote for? Who did you vote for?
Dude.
And Morgan and Zara really, really bad at hiding it. They're like, what do you mean? And it's weird because in that moment, you've got to remember, oh, what's the plan I told this person? Like, it's really, you kind of have to hold about 15 different things in your head to be like, well, if this person speaks to me, I need to. And so in Tribal, you're obviously just answering questions from JLP and you'd be like, yep, I don't have to worry about that. And then that question comes at you and they're like, what do you mean? But like at that point, Laura's drawing dead anyway. Like she couldn't do anything.
Now,
so that was a shame.
I think they picked up on it. They obviously picked up on it at Tribal, like something is happening. What is happening? Oh my God. And then good on her. Her last ditch effort was, nah, Logan, I think you're right. Don't use it. Like I think she knew there that she was the split, and then she's like, no, I think you're right. I think you're right, because at that point, like if Logan uses it, Laura must know at that point that she's going home, and it was pretty sad. It was pretty sad. I just think it came down to the fact that Laura maybe didn't play her own game enough and didn't follow her gut in that like last episode, and would have been in a better position with Miles, because she throughout the whole game, she was never the one that was piling on Miles. She was never the one going after him or anything like that. They had a pretty good relationship. They were on the same page. They were off together and stuff. And so it was surprising that Miles was fine with the split. I do think ultimately Miles really wanted to send Logan home with the idol in her pocket and keep Laura in the game, and then collect Laura as well as Paulie, like got to catch them all style, and just get them all together. But then once Logan used that, then it sort of blew up her game, unfortunately. Yeah. Anything else on that episode? I think it's.
I'm sad to see Laura to go. I thought she was in a really good spot. I thought she had good connections with different people. I didn't think people were really gunning for her specifically, but I think it's that tie to Logan. It's almost like an Ursula issue with Nash. It's like, well, I've got tied to Logan, who everyone seems to hate now. Great, I'm sort of one with her, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I think she did have something with Miles. She was the one that built the relationship with Kate and Morgan. Like, she had the ability to she was looking at Paulie going like, hey, what's this guy? Like, I don't know. I think she could have done better. But she made jury, so we get to still see her, which is great.
Yeah.
It was just quite shocking to have them both completely left out. Like, after everything that had happened, and how they'd been portrayed throughout the whole season, for them to get to this point and just be like, oh no, it was everyone versus you two. Like, it seemed kind of crazy that the relationships they built just weren't there at all.
But see, the other thing is they and Laura's come out and said this. She's like, we had no idea about the graduates. They never went off together as a five. They never were walking around talking to each other. They were always in like little, like AJ and Miles, and then Miles might talk to Kaylin, and then this would happen, and it was that. They were really good at that at this point in the game, and so ultimately, what happens is then when you try and target someone and you don't know that there's three other people protecting them in their alliance, then it becomes really hard to get people on board with that. So ultimately, they needed to pump the brakes and maybe look at someone like, could they've got more people on Paulie again, or what? But yeah, I don't know.
Paulie's sweet now. Yeah. Paulie's sweet.
Paulie's riding all the way around.
He's fine now.
Now, at this point in the show, we go back and we have a look at Josh. Who do you think spun and grun today?
Spinning Grin.
I think for this week, you probably got to look to Miles. I think he played his things effectively, got things done, and kind of it's been this real turnaround from the bottom. Look at him now; he's all the way on the top, and people like it's flipped. That there's not this fear and threat of him. It's genuinely, and we talked about, I can't remember who we were talking about a few weeks ago. It's weird that he's jumped over that level of, oh, he's playing too much, he's too big, to be like, oh, we've got to work with Miles. He's so good. Look at all the stuff he's doing. We've got to work with Miles. Like, it's really interesting that he's managed to find that balance of causing so much chaos, but people now willingly working with him. So I think Miles for 2.
Who else, Phil? Who else do you think played well this week?
Other than Miles? Well, obviously Miles did do the best this week. I'm trying to...
It's hard to
It's
look
a bit
at this whole.
tough.
So,
It's a bit tough.
so who else?
Like someone like
AJ's
Kristen or Kaylin as well. They're in really good spots. Right?
Karen played like she didn't pull the trigger and she's in a good spot as well. I think she's the only person whose name has never come up.
Yeah.
Karen's as well.
Like, as a vote.
As someone to target.
anything.
It's just never come up.
What about Kaylin? Because he won a couple of immunities that didn't matter at all.
Well,
and he's in the graduates.
He's
He's
in
the
the
one who's
graduates.
winning.
No
He's
one's
winning.
throwing his name out there.
And he didn't injure anyone this week.
Hey,
So
yes.
well done.
maybe we get. Okay, so Miles is 2, and Kaylin gets.
Kaylin's one.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I like it. Okay, and now Phil, for the other end of the spectrum, who caused the most chaos? Who ruffled some feathers?
It was
got
to rustle
riled up.
feathers,
About
ruffle
that.
feathers.
Boom. Okay, so who caused the most drama? 2 and 1. Who was doing it?
Miles.
It has to be Miles. Honestly, it's like often
Yeah.
at this point in the game, people get both because I think he played really well, but I think he really did. I totally agree, Phil. I think
And he did it with intent.
You said
know?
rustle feathers.
correct. Thank you. Yeah, I'd give him 2, and then who's getting our 1 this week?
Logan.
Actually, Logan.
Well, Logan, she did
yeah.
cut sick at everyone and
She
really
did
blow
cut
stuff
sick.
up. That was a pretty big feather rustling. And also she gave out. She said, "I don't think voting out Jessie will rustle any feathers." So
She did give us a call
said
out.
rustle
Thank you,
feathers.
Logan. Okay, there we go. Miles gets the double and Logan gets the single. That brings us to the end of this. Another fantastic, talk about 3 banger episodes. I think all 3 were quite good this week. Lots happening. 2 oh my god episodes and 1 just normal episode. Yeah, the marketing from people not in Australia.
my god!
The marketing was get ready for 2 oh my god episodes, and then people were going like, "Oh, so there's only 2 episodes this week. Oh no, there's another episode. It's pretty shit." It was so weird.
Yeah. No one cares. No one cares about Jessie. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. It was funny. So, Phil, thank you so much for joining us this week. So much fun getting an original brains perspective on the case. Tell us, where can people find you? What are you doing? What are you up to?
So you can follow me on Instagram at ChiliPhilly, ChiliPhilly, or on Twitter. Not that I'm on it that often, but it's at the ChiliPhilly. Like I was vaguely referencing before, I am recapping this season as well with your mate Eileen.
Yes, love
as
Eileen.
well over on Babes on the Brink. But this week I did it with my OG Babe on the Brink, Annabelle from Traders
We love Annabelle.
Australia. I guess I've had a lot of BVB2 conversations
you are on
tonight.
top of
I
it,
love
mate.
it.
Yeah.
I'm on top of it.
Hey, thank you so much.
But yeah, no, thank you guys.
Excellent. Josh, like we always say, please, guys, like and subscribe. Leave a comment. It really helps us with our
Had a few
algorithm.
nice reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so they really help as well in terms of discoverability. So take a couple minutes, whip out your Spotify, whip out your Apple Podcast, chuck us some stars, write a little review. It helps heaps.
Yep. Excellent. Well, we will be back next week to talk about another 3 episodes. Phil will unfortunately be not, but please check him out on Babes on the Brink. Thank you again, Phil. Love your work, buddy. Josh,
Thank
I will
you.
see you next week. See you later, guys. Bye.
See you, folks.
Bye.